When I pulled into the driveway that afternoon, I thought I was finally coming home. I'd been gone 2 weeks finishing a construction job down in Birmingham, and all I wanted was a quiet weekend by the lake. But when I stepped out of my truck, my stomach dropped. My front door was wide open. The rocking chair on the porch, my rocking chair was swaying like someone had just been sitting there. And then I saw him. A man I'd never met lounging in my chair, beer in hand, boots kicked up like he owned the place. I froze. "Who the hell are you?" I asked. He barely looked up. "Name's Brandon. My mom runs the HOA. So this place, it's mine now." I laughed because what else do you do when someone says something that insane? But the laugh died quick. He wasn't joking. "You think this is funny?" I asked. "I bought this cabin, paid cash, deeds in my truck." He took another sip of beer. "Deeds don't mean much when the HOA says otherwise." Paperwork got corrected. My mom signed off. And just like that, I felt my chest cave in. My cabin. My safe place. My proof that years of sweat and sacrifice actually meant something now being stolen by some smug kid and his power-hungry mother. I didn't yell, didn't swing. I just turned, walked to my truck, grabbed the deed, and shoved it in his face. Read it. "Tell me what that says." He didn't even look, just smirked and said, "You're trespassing, man." That word hit me like a punch. Trespassing. On my own land. I left before I did something I'd regret. But as I drove away, one thought kept looping in my head: this isn't over. You see, that cabin wasn't just a building. It was my life's work. I grew up poor, never owned anything that couldn't fit in a truck bed. I spent 20 years working job sites, hauling lumber, sweating through Alabama summers, eating frozen dinners just to save up a few extra bucks. When I finally bought that cabin, I thought I'd beaten the system. No landlord, no one telling me where to park, how tall my grass should be, what color I could paint my porch. Freedom. But then came the HOA. Karen Whitfield, president of the Lakewood Homeowners Association. Blonde, sharp-tongued, always in sunglasses and a fake smile. She didn't just enforce rules, she invented them. The first week I moved in, I got letters taped to my door. "Your truck is too close to the road. Your dock needs HOA review. Your grass is half an inch above regulation." Meanwhile, her son Brandon parked on the lawn, blasted music till dawn, and got nothing. At first I played along, paid the little fines, kept quiet, told myself peace was worth the price. But it's never enough for people like Karen. Power feeds on obedience. I remember asking her once, "How come I'm the only one getting these letters?" She smiled that tight-lipped smile and said, "I just follow the bylaws, Devin. Don't take it personally." But everything about it was personal. The way she looked at me, the way the neighbors whispered after HOA meetings, it all screamed, "You don't belong here." And maybe that's why she thought she could get away with it. 2 weeks later, she and her son broke into my cabin, packed up my life, and called it theirs. I went straight to the county clerk's office, hands shaking. The clerk pulled up the file and said, "Yeah, your name's here, but there's also a correction filed last week. Signed by Karen Whitfield." My head spun. "A correction? For what?" He shrugged. "Claims there was an error in the original transfer." He lowered his voice. "Mrs. Whitfield's name tends to move paperwork fast around here." That's when I realized I wasn't fighting a mistake. I was fighting a system built to protect people like her. I confronted her the same afternoon. She was in her garden trimming flowers like nothing had happened. "Why is your name on my deed?" I asked. She didn't even look up. "Oh, Devin, it's just paperwork. Turns out my son was the rightful recipient, so we corrected it." I felt the blood rush to my face. "Lady, I bought that cabin. I paid every cent." She smiled, tilting her head. "Then you shouldn't have anything to worry about, right?" That night I sat in my truck outside the cabin. Brandon was inside laughing with friends, drinking from a mug my daughter had painted for me, "Dad's Cabin," in shaky blue letters. That was the breaking point. Not the cabin, not the deed, the mug. Watching some spoiled brat drink from something my little girl made, that hurt deeper than I expected. I wanted to storm in, throw him out, maybe worse, but that's what they wanted to paint me, as the angry, unstable outsider. So instead I whispered to myself, "You'll regret this, Karen." The next morning I started planning, not revenge-proof. I photographed every letter she ever sent me, every box she'd thrown onto my porch, every inch of that cabin. I filed copies of my deed county maps, even the fake corrections she submitted. Then I started talking to neighbors. Turns out I wasn't the first. One family had to repaint their house because Karen didn't like the shade of blue. Another was fined for blocking lake views with their deck. Everyone hated her, but everyone was scared of her. That's when I realized what I had to do. If Karen ruled this neighborhood through fear, then I'd show everyone what happens when you stop being afraid. My plan was simple: build something she couldn't ignore. One Saturday morning, I loaded my truck with wood concrete and a giant plywood sheet. I drove to the narrow strip of road the HOA used to reach their lakefront office, the one that cut through the edge of my property. Legally mine. I measured twice, marked the line, and started digging. By noon, the fence was standing chest-high, solid and stubborn. When Brandon showed up blasting music in his shiny SUV, he jumped out and yelled, "What the hell are you doing?" I didn't even look up. "Building a fence," he scoffed. "You can't block this road. HOA uses it every day." "Then maybe they'll learn to take the long way," I said, hammering another nail. By the time Karen's Mercedes rolled up, half the neighborhood had gathered. She stepped out like a queen facing rebellion. "Mr. Matthews," she hissed, "you're obstructing community property." I pointed to the deed stapled right to the fence. "This isn't community property, Karen. This is mine. You tried to erase me on paper, so I figured I'd remind you in wood and nails." The crowd went silent. You could see it in their faces, shock, maybe admiration. And then, like magic, someone clapped. Just one person, then another. Karen's jaw tightened. She wasn't used to losing control. That night, photos of the fence hit social media. Homeowner builds fence against HOA tyranny. The story exploded. Local news showed up the next morning. When the reporter asked what was going on, I said, "The HOA president stole my cabin with fake paperwork. This fence is my line in the sand. They want me gone. Well, now everyone knows I'm here." Karen tried to spin it, of course. Held an emergency HOA meeting, demanded I be fined thousands of dollars for unauthorized construction. But the tide was turning. One board member stood up and said, "This isn't about bylaws. This is about power." That sentence changed everything. A few days later, the sheriff showed up. 2 cruisers' lights flashing. Karen stood beside them all, smiles, acting like justice was finally on her side. "Officer," she said, "this man is obstructing community access." The deputy looked at her, then at me. I handed him the deed maps, every document I'd gathered. He scanned them, typed something into his tablet, then looked up. "Ma'am, he's right. This land is his." Karen's smile cracked. "That road is essential to the HOA's operations." The deputy shrugged. "Maybe so, but legally he's within his rights." The crowd cheered. Cameras caught every second. And I swear I saw Brandon's confidence melt right off his face. That night, the footage hit the evening news. For the first time in 12 years, Karen Whitfield wasn't untouchable. The calls started pouring in, neighbors thanking me, strangers sharing their own HOA nightmares. But I knew it wasn't over. When people like Karen lose power, they don't surrender, they strike back. 2 weeks later, I got a letter. The HOA was suing me. Obstruction of access, violation of community harmony. Fancy words for "we're mad, you embarrassed us." I won't lie, my hands shook as I read it. I didn't have money for lawyers. Part of me wanted to give up, sell the cabin, disappear. That night I called my sister Denise. She's the only family I've got left. She listened, then said, "Devin, you've fought your whole life. You didn't give up when you had nothing. Don't you dare give up now that you finally have something." She was right. I scraped together everything I had sold, tools, took on extra shifts, and hired a local attorney, Rachel McBride. Tough as nails, hated bullies. After I showed her the documents, she leaned back in her chair and said, "This isn't just wrong, it's fraud. Let's make it official." The court hearing was chaos. Karen showed up in a tailored suit, Brandon at her side like a spoiled shadow. Her lawyers painted me as an unstable outsider causing trouble in a peaceful community. I sat there silent until my turn came. When I took the stand, I didn't give a speech. I just told the truth. About 20 years of work about the night I came home to find my life boxed up and a stranger drinking from my daughter's mug. I held up the mug right there in court. All I ever wanted was peace, I said. They took that from me. But I've got proof. I've got the papers. And I'm not letting anyone, no matter how powerful, steal what I earned. Then Rachel took over. She showed the judge the correction Karen filed, no court approval, no second signature, no oversight. Just one woman's name. Your Honor. She said this wasn't a clerical error. It was a power grab. Karen cracked under pressure. When the judge asked who authorized the change, she stammered, It was processed by the county. With only your signature, Rachel pressed. No owner consent. No verification. That's not a mistake, Mrs. Whitfield, that's exploitation. The courtroom went dead silent. When the gavel fell, I almost didn't hear the words at first. The correction is invalid. Property ownership restored to Mr. Devin Matthews. Karen's face went pale. Brandon's smirk vanished. The judge even recommended an investigation into how that paperwork got through in the first place. I walked out of that courthouse to a wall of cameras, neighbors cheering, reporters shouting questions. I didn't say much. Just I'm glad the truth came out. That's all I ever wanted. That night I sat back on my porch, the mug safe in my hands, the fence still standing tall. The lake was calm again, the way it used to be. But I didn't feel victorious. I just felt grounded. Like I'd finally put down roots nobody could pull up. You know, people think owning something is about money or status. It's not. It's about having a place where no one can rewrite your name off the deed. And if there's one thing I learned, it's this. If you let them take what's yours in silence, they'll never stop. Sometimes you've got to build your own fence and make them see the line they can't cross.